What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another edition of MVP Sports Live right here on YouTube. You may be watching us live on YouTube. You may be watching us after the fact. No matter how you are watching us, thank you for giving us a little bit of your time today. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Jake Neverman. And Jake, how you doing? New color on Discord, but it's new color, new you.
I guess it is. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
You know what? Today's been a day where, for some reason, ever since like noon, I've been stuffed up. Like, not stuffed up, but it's like your nose is runny and you have phlegm and you're like, I just want you gone. Why are you here? I just want you gone. It's kind of like that feeling like, did you ever like hang out in a basement for a while and you're like, wow, it's really dusty down here, and your nose gets like phlegmy because like of the dust getting in your nose, and it's like, we got to do this to like make sure the dust like
I
sticks in your
can
nose.
say I can genuinely say I've never felt that.
Yeah, really, it's like really it only happens to me in dry areas. Thank God I'm not like my grandfather who had hay fever. Do you know what hay fever is, right?
Yeah.
So like around this time he'd just be sneezing like crazy. Thank God I don't have that. I hope I'm not getting that, which would be very bad. But yeah, I just want it gone because I feel like liquid in the back of my sinuses and I want it gone. I want it gone now. I went to blow my nose and I blew the nose. Nothing came out. I'm like, there's literally stuff in there. I just want it gone. So that's kind of where my day is, but that doesn't matter. We're not talking about sinuses. We're not talking about stuffy noses today on the show, Jake. We're talking a little baseball. It's been a little bit since you and I have talked about baseball. Really, the last time we did, I called for the Cubs season, Jake, and the Cubs are now in first place.
And I was the one that was saying I'm not feeling bad about the Yankees, and they're in third place. So, hey, we're really on fire.
It's funny how much like a month can change in the MLB season.
I would say we could be in a month later, and the Cubs could be in third place, and the Yankees could be in first place. It's just baseball.
And the only thing I know is it's June baseball when you see on social media, oh my God, the White Sox and Cubs are in first place. Are we going to get a Chicago World Series? Happens every May, June. Happens all the time because this is where the Cubs and Sox are usually doing good because there's some false hope with one of those teams or sometimes both of those teams. But today we're talking about a couple different things today. We're hitting the MLB trade deadline. We're about a month and a half away from the deadline, July 31st. Because it's June, I figured we can go and hit the deadline, see what early people we could look at to be on the trade deadline rosters, or not the roster, but like the radar for the hot stove. Then we're going to take a look at a new MLB rule that you brought up about pitchers not being able to use foreign substances on their fingers and what we think of that. And then we've got a silver patron question from JD where he wants us to talk about the Giants. Are they for real? Are they going to be a playoff team right now? They are number one in the Western Division. But before we get into everything, though, let's go through the housekeeping. Number one, if you are not in the MVP Discord, you are behind the 8 ball. However, you can join the greatest community in the universe for free right now. Link is down below in the description. Just click on it. You'll bring up the Discord page. Boom, you click join, you're in there, and you're talking about all the great conversations happening in all of our channels about all the sports that we love talking about. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids is how you can go ahead and do that. That link is also down below in the description, or you can become a channel member. No matter how you do, member or patron, you get the same rewards. You get rewarded for supporting MVP and making sure we can continue making these videos for you guys each and every day. Also, thank you to our patron and member sponsor, Pat Hill. And last but not least, we're on YouTube every Monday through Friday, so hit that sub button, hit that notification button, the notification bell.
No, it's notified.
It's not a notification bell. You don't get notified. You get notificated, Jake. Notificated. That's how you
and
do
Tony
it.
get notificated. That's we just break English.
You get notificated. But Jake, let's go into the first topic, and that is the early look that we're taking into the trade deadline. There's going to be, obviously, every year, there's buyers, there's sellers. The first thing I will ask you is, who's a name that you think you want to start with that is like, this guy is going to be talked about from now until the trade deadline. Oh, I think Jake said, hold on. Literally think he said, hold on, while I was giving my spiel. So he might not have heard what I'm saying. So then I will take a little bit of a swig and I will go first. The name that we're going to hear is Trevor Story. Trevor Story is the one.
Sorry.
You're back?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So I will ask the question of,
Sorry.
I thought I heard you say hold on, and I still rolled through and asked you the question. And then I sat here, I was like, I looked at the camera, and I went, I think you said hold on. I think that was a hold on.
I literally, as soon as you said my name or asking a question, I just heard,
so I blew the bag a little bit and gave mine, but I will ask you, who is the name that you want to start with that is like, this is going to be a name we are going to hear from now until the trade deadline for the MLB?
I think it's going to be, well, I won't step on your toes with your player, so I'll pick a different one. I think it's going to be Ketel Marte.
Okay.
Ketel Marte has been one of the best outfielder platoon players wherever he plays. He plays outfield, second base, shortstop, wherever they need for the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks clearly are not anywhere near competing this year or in the near future. Honestly, I feel like they've been rebuilding for 2 decades.
Yeah.
This looks like they're going to be headed back and doing again. Ketel Marte, I mean, he's been good this year. Obviously, only 20 games played, so not been completely healthy last year. But last year was kind of a down year. The year before, you look at the 2019 numbers, played 144 games, had a 981 OPS, 389 OBP. He's just a stud, and he's a switch hitter, and a lot of teams could use that. And he's on a cheap contract because he still hasn't passed arbitration. So that's kind of, I think could be a target for a lot of teams, including, I know we'll throw out the Yankees, and we'll talk about them with Trevor Story. A lot of things that are going to defer them from conversations with money and contracts. And Ketel Marte is a guy that you can give up a few prospects for, but his contract is not too expensive, so you can get him cheap enough.
Yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks in general, they're going to be a team that you mentioned Marte, but he might not even be the only one on the move. Like, I pulled up a CBS article where they kind of give, for some of the teams that will be sellers at the deadline, they give a hitter and a pitcher that they think that the team will trade, and the Diamondbacks are one of them. And the hitter that they listed off was Escobar, the infielder, saying that he's a 270-ish on-base percentage the last 2 years kind of guy. But even later in their little paragraph explanation, they even say the case can be made for Arizona should listen to trade offers for Marte as well as Carson Kelly, though they have long-term control, and keeping them would be justifiable. They list off the Cubs and the Red Sox being potential suitors. I'm assuming they're talking about Escobar because that's the one that they listed. But like, the Diamondbacks are a team right now. You look at these standings, they're in dead last. They're not, like they're what 15? Yeah, 15 games back of the Giants for that lead. So it's like it's not like this team is magically going to turn it around and start
No.
competing for a playoff or a wild card spot.
No, I mean, yeah, the Diamondbacks are stuck in the. We will talk about the team in first place in the NL West later in the show,
Yeah.
but they're in a division where one team has overachieved so far in the Giants, and then you have the Dodgers and the Padres who have been dealing with injuries and are still dominating the rest of the division outside of the Giants, obviously. So the Diamondbacks, and you talked about having control on a guy like Eduardo Escobar, but the thing is, if you wait too long and then you lose that control, or the control is going to run up in a year or two, that's when his price goes down. Teams
Yeah.
want these guys so they when they have team control over them. So the Diamondbacks might stink now, but trading Eduardo Escobar, trading a guy like Ketel Marte, while teams would still have 3 or 4 years of control down the line, can get you more in return. And kind of like it's kind of when you see like a basketball player, an NBA player get trade on a rookie deal, the price is probably going to pay more. They're probably going to give you more draft picks because they're going to get that guy on an affordable contractor.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it makes complete sense to move one or even both of them. And then they even have veterans like an Asdrubal Cabrera or something like that. That's a guy a contending team could use as just a bench bat or just a utility guy.
So it's a fire sale for the Diamondbacks.
It has to be. They're 20. They're 20-37, and are probably one of, if not the best division in baseball with the top
Yeah.
three. There's no reason to hang on to this talent, especially a veteran like Asdrubal Cabrera, unless, I mean, unless you're hoping for a miracle, which even then, it's just bad business.
I mean, I'll ask you, is there now CBS mentioned the Cubs and Red Sox, but like I said, they're probably saying that more with Escobar. Do you have a team that is like this should be the team that gets into the front running for Marte, since Marte was the one that you kind of spotlighted?
It should be the Yankees. It should absolutely be the Yankees. The Yankees aren't going to be.
I bring it up because my team's got to do it. They got to trade for somebody. They can't just trade Talkman and not get anything for him.
Damn, preach it. Yankees need a center fielder pretty bad. Aaron Hicks is out for the year. They had Judge play center field the other day. My heartstrings every time I watch him run at center field. But Ketel Marte can play center field, can play second base, can move around. He's a switch hitter. The Yankees need some more flexibility in their lineup. He's good defensively, and he's a guy that gets on base, which Yankee players don't do a lot. So he's kind of an exact fit, and the Yankees are going to be handicapped when we get to the trade deadline because they don't want to go over that 210 mark, and they're at 209 right now. So getting a guy like Ketel Marte while offloading a little bit of salary to the Diamondbacks, who the Diamondbacks might be willing to take some salary if they get a couple of prospects in the deal, which the Yankees obviously have, would be beneficial for both sides. And I think it's one of the very few trades that make sense for the Yankees in terms of how they're going to manage their budget.
Yeah. And like for me, I mentioned because I didn't know how far you were going to be or how long you were going to be away at the beginning of the show. For me, I went with the low-hanging fruit. I will call it as it is. It's the low-hanging fruit of I feel like we're in a similar situation to where we were last year or 2 years ago, I should say. Yeah, 2 years ago, where when Brandon and I did the full count, when we had the baseball podcast, me and him almost every single week, one point or another in June and July, we were talking about Nolan Arenado. Oh, is he going to get traded? Who are the Rockies going to look to move him to? And this trade deadline season, the low-hanging fruit is obviously Trevor Story. Like, okay, they got rid of Arenado. He's now with the Cardinals that they moved this offseason. Now it's time for, like, the thing is with the Rockies is they're kind of in a similar situation to the Diamondbacks where, yeah, they're not 15 games back, but they're 12 games back. They're not going to be competing with the top three in that division for a playoff spot. I know that right now Trevor Story is on the IL with a elbow injury, so it'll be interesting to see yet again how serious that injury is. Is it just something to where it's like, well, he's got some elbow trouble, so you know what, we're going to put him on the IL because guess what, we can't have him be playing and then get injured further, so then we can't trade him, or if it's a serious elbow injury. But like, to me, this is yet again another just classic, like, will they, won't they kind of a thing. And I know people threw around, ESPN had the article that, like, the Yankees need to trade for Trevor Story. But, like, at the end, I have the feeling that is this going to be Nolan Arenado 2.0, where the Rockies go, hey, we're going to ship him, we're going to talk to teams, but if we don't get that perfect offer at the trade deadline, we will keep him. And we will then look to trade him in the offseason. I'm going to have to look up. Oh, no, they can't. They can't.
You can't.
They don't have control. So really, this is not going to be like Nolan Arenado. He is getting moved at the deadline.
Problem is the price is going to be severely cut because he's an unrestricted free agent this offseason. So what is the net worth that you're going to get for him, and what teams are going to be interested? Obviously, there'll be teams interested. I'm sure. I'm going to throw away the Yankees name because I really don't think they get a deal done in this situation. I'm not really sure who does in the Trevor Story sweepstakes. Obviously, again, there will be teams. I'm just not sure on the return the Rockies are going to get, and if they're not going to be. I mean, they're obviously not going to sign him to a long-term contract, so I would assume he's not going to be a Rocky next year one way or another. It just depends if maybe the Rockies get. I mean. Maybe the Rockies get. We see these situations where the team's like, "Oh, we're not going to get enough at the deadline anyways, so let's just keep him." And like Kyle Lowry with the Raptors, they were like, "Oh, we didn't get enough, so we're just going to keep him anyways." You lowballed me, so that's probably what's going to happen. I mean, the Rockies are for sure going to get lowballed in this situation because I mean, with a guy running out of a contract, especially in the MLB, we're seeing Francisco Lindor getting what was it, 341 million, and Tatis getting 340 million, and that Trevor Story is going to want around that kind of money. He's going to want over $300 million this offseason. So is the team really willing to give up assets and then pay $300 million towards him? That's where I kind of, maybe a team trades for a rental this year, like just throwing it out there because they play Moneyball. Are the Oakland Athletics going to be like, you know what? Screw it, for half a year, we'll get a rental. We're not going to pay him this offseason. But if the price is low enough,
we got to get out of the first round.
Yeah, and they're half a game up, so they're obviously competing in their division. Not saying that it's ever going to happen. Not saying that they have links or anything. It's just it seems like a move that the Athletics would make. They like to get these half-season guys if they can get them at a cheap enough price, and then let them walk in the offseason. But at least we went for it for half a year with his salary.
I'm gonna throw out something crazy. Do either. Yet again, I'm going more on that rental side that you were talking about, where it's like I'm thinking of like what the Cubs did with Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah.
Of like we need an infield bat, we need a shortstop or a middle infielder, to make a playoff run. And the first team I pulled up were the Chicago White Sox. Like, would they be a team based on basically the mindset that I have around it is like, okay, you've got Eloy injured. You've got Luis Roberts injured. Right now, they just put Andrew Vaughn, their other surprise, like their other big young bat. And I know what you're saying, Ricky. These are all outfielders. Where does Trevor Story fit in here? Would the White Sox be an aggressive team to go, hey, I know he's not an outfielder, but we do have a spot in the middle infield to where basically we could move Tim Anderson or Jan Moncada or Trevor Story, put him at second base, even if that means Madrigal has to get moved to the bench in order to give us a big bat because of the injuries that we've sustained, because the White Sox are in first place in their division. And what are they going to look for? Are they going to just look for, hey, you know what, we weren't healthy this year, we're going to see how far we get, or are they actually going to push? And then I look at the other Chicago team. I look at my Cubs, and I go, basically, if we're decimated with injuries, yet again, it might depend on how good old Nico Horner comes back from his injury. Right now, he's on the 10-day DL. You've got Bodie on the 10-day. You've got Duffy on the 10-day, all middle infielders. Also, Jason Hayward's on the 10-day. Would the Cubs think about? They've done it before. Yet again, a little bit different mindset. That was Theo making that push for the World Series. Theo is not there anymore, and it seems like the whole Rickett organization and how they're running things is, hey, as long as we don't care if we're winning, as long as we're making money, that's kind of the good thing. Would the Cubs be like, hey, we're decimated with injuries, we got to make a move. And even if Nico comes back, we have the flexibility to maybe move a Chris Bryant to the outfield and have Trevor Story be a middle infielder for us. Like, I look at both Chicago teams and I go, will it happen? Probably not. But, like,
Yeah.
would it even be smart for them to make those kind of a
Um,
moves, those kind of deals?
I definitely could see it being smart. Again, I'm not obviously clarity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it would happen. Depends. All this depends on the price that the Rockies are going to ask for, and
Yeah.
depending on how many prospects they want or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I would say the Cubs are probably a little bit more. Not that they are realistic, but more
Mm-hmm.
realistic. Because the White Sox have such a good young core, I don't think they're really going to give up much to add on to it. They're just going to wait for their guys to get healthy. Hopefully, you get Eloy and Luis Robert back at the end of the season,
Yeah.
and they're going to be in the playoffs. So hopefully, they can get back and get in the groove right before the playoffs. And I don't think you're going to give up a lot of assets to get a guy
Mm-hmm.
like Trevor Story. I could see somewhat maybe it happening with the Cubs and moving
Mm-hmm.
to Story to second or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the logistics of him playing second or anything like that, but if the price is cheap enough, there's going to be a lot of teams interested. It all comes back to what are the Rockies expecting an offer because they know he's probably going to walk. So
Yeah.
are they just going to be willing to take anything, or are they going to be like, nope,
Mm-hmm.
if you lowball me, I'm keeping him?
I'll ask you with Chris McCoy. Thank you, Chris, for your question in YouTube chat. Do the Braves trade for a bat by the trade deadline? Right,
It's definitely yeah.
right now they're 4 games back of the Mets.
Yeah, that division is pretty wild this year so far. I still think Atlanta probably wins it. I think
Mm-hmm.
they have the most talent, but the problem is they're going to have to add a bat now with Marcell Ozuna and obviously his incident. He's probably not
Mm-hmm.
going to play the rest of the year, is
Yeah.
the assumption. They're going to have to add somebody, and I don't know who that somebody is. Could Trevor Story be that guy? I'm not sure they have a spot in their middle infield unless Dansby
Mm-hmm.
Swanson's in the deal. I am not sure. They still have a very big need at catcher. They're very weak at catcher.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, they definitely do have a spot. I mean, what's his name? Christian Pache is coming back soon, so he might slide back into center field. But that outfield does have a huge gap, left field and center field. I'm not sure who's going to be available for outfield help right now. Maybe a Joey Gallo would help that team. I'm
Do
not
you think he
quite sure.
actually gets moved?
His name has been thrown around for years, and he never has
Mm-hmm.
been. But maybe finally, I mean,
Yeah.
these that happens in baseball, is guys' names get thrown around for years, and then they
Mm-hmm.
finally get traded from these bad, like Nolan Arenado. So I think Joey Gallo would be a very good asset for this team to get, especially if their corner outfielders could be
Mm-hmm.
Acuna and Gallo. I would love that
I
with Pache
mean,
in the middle.
they could also go for yet again a guy that CBS lists is Robbie Grossman from the
Yeah.
Tigers.
I would expect the Braves to they at least are going to add a bat. How good the bat
Mm-hmm.
is or how elite the bat is the question. But
Yeah.
getting production like they have from guys like Austin Riley and Ozzie Albies and obviously Freddie Freeman and Acuna are
Mm-hmm.
what they are. They're two of the best players in baseball. So seeing Austin Riley kind of take that step, they have a giant need at catcher in left field now. That obviously catcher's been a need all year,
Mm-hmm.
and Ozuna being out is going to hurt them. So they're going to probably add someone down the line. I'm not quite sure the level or how many assets they are going to give up to get that guy though.
I mean, this might be an obvious statement, but they are a team that is in like the two that I mentioned, the
They
Cubs
need
and the
bullpen
White
also.
Sox.
They need
They
bullpen
could
also.
be like, okay, we're not going to make a move. I feel like the Braves are a team that, like, if I put the like trade meter of like have to make a move, don't have to make a move, it would be all the way to like has to make a move by the trade deadline, because to me you could be right, and I would probably favor with you of like, okay, maybe the Braves still pull this out in the end. Um, but like if I'm the Braves, and yet again, we are going to talk about this team later in the show, but like because of the Giants and their kind of surge this season, can they keep it up for a full baseball season? Let's say the Giants do play well enough to take one of those wild card spots. Right now, you have it to where it's like the Braves are in the running for a wild card right now. Philly's only a half game behind them. Fuck, the Marlins are even just 2 games behind the Braves. Fuck it, even the Nationals are
Yeah.
2.5. That division very close. And then you got the Cardinals, which are actually ahead of the Braves in a wild card race right now. Really, it's basically like this Braves team, if they don't win the division, they're probably not getting a wild card spot, because right now the 2 wild card spots would be Padres Dodgers, and even if the
Yeah.
Padres pass the Giants, it would be Giants and Dodgers who'd be getting those wild card spots.
Yeah, that's the joy of June baseball, is there where people get all excited about their teams, and then we get into
Hmm.
July and August, and the teams fall apart. I think
Yeah.
the Braves definitely need to make a move, whether that's a bat or adding bullpen help or both. I
Hmm.
would assume that they need to add both, if especially if Ozuna doesn't come back.
Do you think they add
Um,
both?
they I'm saying they should. I'm not sure if they
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
That's a 50-50 question. That'll be easier to answer once we get closer to the
Yeah.
deadline and we see what players are actually available. I'm not. They need bullpen help, number one, though. Their bullpen
Hmm.
is atrocious. They're letting so many guys walk last year. This If a key reliever becomes available, they need to be the first team on that, whoever
Yeah.
it is.
Is there another name or a team you want to shift to?
Let's take a look here. Um, I still think. I mean, he's always going to be a name that comes up. Obviously, the Milwaukee Brewers sitting 29 and 26, so they're not having a terrible season. But Josh Hader is always going to be that guy that comes up in bullpen talk. And one of the best relievers in baseball. His name floated around in the offseason a little bit. I'd
Hmm.
assume that teams still come back to him because I mean, I don't. The Brewers have had outstanding pitching this year
Yeah.
from guys like Woodruff and Burns. So
Hmm.
if they stay on this little like teeter totter where they're kind of in the division but they're kind of not, then maybe they won't make a move. But Hader's
Yeah.
name, I'd assume, is going to come up just because he's so good. It's a lefty reliever. He's elite, and people would probably pay top dollar, top prospects to bring him to whatever
Hmm.
team to whatever team. So. I'd like if we're talking about the Braves, if Josh Hader becomes available, the Braves need to be like, who do you want, when do you want them, and do you want them now? Because he would vastly improve their bullpen, and that's exactly what they need. I'm
Hmm.
interested to see what happens with the Brewers. I'm not sure they make a move just because of how well they pitched this year and kind of the production they've gotten out of guys you didn't expect it from. Maybe they just kind of hold on and see what happens. But if I was the Brewers, I would listen to offers just because you're not going to win much with the core you have now. You need to at least start thinking about the rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, they're close. They're close in a division race though right now. Like they're only three behind the Cubs. They're only a game and a half behind the Cardinals, who the Cardinals are only 2 games back of the Dodgers. Fuck it. Basically, if you're the Brewers, you're going for the division or nothing, because the Dodgers have a better record than even the Cubs. I would almost put the Brewers right now, unless from like now until the trade deadline they just go on a massive skid. Is basically I don't know if they're going to be willing to trade a guy like Hader because
Yeah.
it's going to be that hey we want to push for the playoffs, even though it's like you said you're probably not going to win a World Series regardless. You're not going to beat the Dodgers. You're not going to beat
Yeah.
the
The,
Padres.
I'll say the problem is like that these kind of medium market to small market teams, if
Hmm.
they make the playoffs, they're satisfied. So like,
Yeah.
are the Brewers just going to hold on and try to make the playoffs? Another name
Hmm.
that'll come up. Um, I'm not so sold to give up on this team yet, but
Hmm.
Minnesota's been horrendous so far. They're 11 games back in the
They were
division,
good to start the season. Their bats were crushing the ball.
they're 11 games back, and
Hmm.
I'm still not ready to give up on them. But if they
Yeah.
are, Jose Barrios is going to be a name that comes up.
Hmm.
Young guy, controllable contract. Somebody would give
Yep.
up a lot for him. Blue Jays have already been linked to him.
Nelson
Um,
Cruz, another guy that's been thrown out in
yeah,
discussions already.
I think Jose Barrios would be the guy, especially for a team like the Blue Jays that
Hmm.
desperately needs pitching just to hold on.
Yeah.
I think that would be the guy. I think that would be the team, and that would be the guy
Hmm.
that would be continually linked to each other until the deadline.
Yeah. I mean, the only other situation for me that I just want to bring up is the interesting one for my side is the AL East. You know it more than anything, Jake. Your favorite team is there.
Yeah,
But like outside of the Rays, who right now have a 2 game lead over the Red Sox, I'm interested to see what team. Like there will be movement in this division. Where do we see it? Do the Yankees add that bat and that center fielder that you say they desperately need? The Red Sox, are they going to look at it and say, hey, you know what? We didn't expect to be in this situation moving forward. We're going to go for it. We're going to try to trade for another bat to help this lineup. Hell, do the Blue Jays look at their team and go, hey, we've been riddled with injuries, but we're only 5 games out. We're going to go ahead and try to add some like those are the main three. I'm sorry, Orioles, you're fucking
they're
sellers.
done.
Like with the Orioles, it's more on the side of does
Well,
Galvis get moved? Do they
Jose,
actually look to move like a Mean who's
that's
playing
Sam
very
Means.
well?
I was gonna say the Red Sox and Means makes a lot of sense
Mhm.
for each other.
Would they
The
trade in the
Orioles,
division though?
yeah, they already have the
Okay,
Orioles. Remember they traded Britton to the Yankees. I
good
mean,
point. Good point.
they trade in division because they don't care because they suck.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the Red Sox need to add pitching, maybe a bat. I would lean more towards the pitching side. I think it's the same with the Blue Jays, and the Yankees need to add probably an outfield bat. Um, that's probably I literally could see all three of these teams making a move that are. I don't think the Rays make a move just because it's not in their mold. They kind of just have their team set.
Yeah, I figured the top team isn't going to make a move. Very
And they
rarely
have
does a top team be like, "Hey, we got to make a move to get better."
Well, and the Rays have all these top prospects. So if they wanted to get somebody, they could. If a Trevor Story does become available,
Yeah.
the Rays are a team that could sneak in there. Do I think they make the move? No, because he makes $13 million. It's too much for them to pay. But he would be. I mean, that'd be pretty hilarious, honestly, if he ended
They
up
would
in Tampa.
probably be more in the field of like a Freddie Galvis, right? Who's like 1.5.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, the Red Sox another starting pitcher would be good. They are going to get Chris Sale back eventually this year, so who knows there. Blue Jays, obviously, we know starting pitching, they need to add one, maybe two, maybe three starters to this rotation. And the Yankees need another bat. Their lineup's just been kind of stale recently. So all these teams have pretty glaring needs, and they're all in such a tight race. I think when one bites, the other ones are going to follow, is really how I see it going.
Yeah. I mean, that's, yet again, that is the division that I am kind of putting the microscope on of like, that's where I want to see the movement in because of how close they are. And you've got the teams like the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Blue Jays still in kind of reach of the Rays, who are at the top of the division. But Jake, let's move on. We've talked enough about the early look at the trade deadline. Everything coming up with the trade deadline, we'll talk about it more as news comes out. But the next like little filler thing we're going to move into is you had mentioned you wanted to kind of talk about a little bit a new rule by the MLB for pitchers regarding substances that they can have on their fingers and stuff. I'm going to let you kind of take this away and you kind of lead this discussion.
Yeah, so it's been known for many, many, many years that pitchers use foreign substance, whether it be pine tar, whether it be whatever it is, to improve their spin rate and all that. And it's kind of come to a
have it
head.
on the brim of your hat. You come up here, you give it a little rub, you put it on the ball, you're good to go.
Yeah, and we've seen it like the umpires decide every now and then to crack down on it, but they haven't consistently done it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Trevor Bauer, as much as people hate him, has been one of the advocates of people he's been talking about. Like I saw today that he's like, people were like, he must be worried because his spin rate's so high and he obviously uses blah blah blah. And I'm like, you understand he's been an advocate for this to be cracked down on. I saw people because Garrett Cole had a bad outing the day after they announced if you get caught, it's a 10-game suspension. I was like, that's funny. He was struggling before then, but people like to point out now. It's just, I think every pitcher uses a sticky substance, whatever it is, just a preference at that point. I'm interested to see. First they de-nerfed the balls because it was clear that they were juiced. I mean, we were seeing the home runs that people were hitting, and now we're watching this year, and the offense is way down in the MLB. It's just I don't know why they de-juiced the balls in the first place, because none of this would have to be possible if they didn't de-juice the balls. If you keep the juiced balls, you let pitchers use their sticky substance, whatever it is. It just seems like a little bit. I don't know. It seems like Rob Manfred changing a lot where it doesn't need to be changed. I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
For me, it's like just like you said, I don't know why they de-juice the balls. Like I said earlier today when we were live on MVP Entertainment, chicks dig the long ball, Jake. That's what they dig. People love offense. Like, I remember as a kid, was I excited about, like, perfect games. They're kind of cool. They're exhilarating. But, like, I mean, the reason why perfect games and no-hitters back when I was a kid were such a big thing is because the hitting was so, like, juiced to where it was like when a pitcher finally did do it, it was like, holy shit, you fucking got an accomplishment. Like, I remember when I was 8 years old, I wasn't watching a strikeout race between two pitchers. No, I was watching a home run race. Now, I know steroid people are going to speak up. Steroids, do whatever you want to your body. I don't give a shit as long as it's entertaining to me. That's been my stance on it. If you want to ruin your body, that's on you.
Even I want to say, like, just to interrupt real quick, sorry, but even ahead. Like with the juice balls, that was some of the most entertaining baseball I've watched, because people want to watch runs, they want to watch home runs. I don't want to sit here and watch pitching matchups for the next 6 weeks.
A pitching matchup isn't bad if it's like, because like I said, a pitching matchup wasn't bad before, because if you had that pitching matchup it meant, holy shit, this pitcher is awesome because he's limiting these bats
I remember, yeah,
to where now it's like what every other week it's like, oh, a no hitter. It's like,
yeah.
great, we had one a week ago.
And that was going to be my next point is, do you think that uh, this new rule with these sticky substances is a direct correlation with there was a lot of no hitters for multiple weeks and they were like, we got to do something about it. So now we're gonna suspend you 10 games if you get caught. But then the problem comes in is that it doesn't get enforced every game.
Yeah.
So when are we going to choose to enforce it and when are we going to choose not to enforce
And really, it doesn't even get picked up unless it reminds me of the kid on the playground who's a tattletale, where it doesn't get picked up unless the other bench is like, "Hey, ref, go ahead and check his head. I think he's got something on it." Otherwise, the ump is like, "Da ba da ba da. What do I strike? Ball?"
Oh yeah, we just see
I
like
don't even know half the time what it is.
they just pick and choose when to enforce rules, and if there was a set rule on these substances,
Yeah.
and like we were checking every game or every inning or whatever, then I'm down for it. But the rule leaves a lot of room for, I guess, interpretation, and it doesn't set like umpires must check every couple innings or every inning or whatever it is, which
That
is the
fucking
biggest
word.
interpretation,
Yeah,
right?
the word that you and I talked about, to where it's like, can we eventually get to sports where the rules, there is no
This is the rule.
it's not left up for interpretation. This is the rule, black and white. It's called the same way.
Exactly, and if you can't make a solid rule, then don't make one. Don't make a rule that leaves stuff open to interpretation, and that's exactly what they're doing here because they're going to pick and choose when they want to enforce it and when they don't want to enforce it, and that puts more power into the umpire's hands,
Yep.
which we cannot have with how horrid the umpiring has already been this year. How are we gonna?
Are you a robot ump guy? Go to the
I've
robots.
been a robo ump guy for almost 2 years now. How are we going to say you have a pitching match between two aces? One guy gets thrown out for a sticky substance. The other guy's using a sticky substance. They don't even check him, and he pitches 6 shutout innings.
Yeah.
Where is going to be the consistency? And that is going to be the big thing in the next few weeks. Watching this rule play out is how consistent are they going to be with not interpreting it and just enforcing it on every pitcher. If you want to have the umpires check gloves every inning, you could do that. If you want to have them check, I don't know, hands or hats every inning, you could do that. Don't let it be, oh, if they see it and check it out, then they throw the guy out. It leaves too much room up in the air.
I do agree with you though. Like, this does seem like a kind of like the, you know what, we dejuiced the balls. Oh man, that probably gave too much of an advantage in the pitcher's hand. We got to do something to pull it back into the center, which I'm on the side of like, let the pitchers do this, juice the balls,
Yeah.
or fuck it, let the hitters take steroids. I know that's a fucking unpopular opinion.
Or just juice
but,
the balls and keep them juiced.
Yeah. But like, I know it was a stand-up bit, but like, I have been on the Daniel Chosh train since he said the joke of basically where it's like, I'm fine with steroids in sports because I don't want to see I want to see my athletes jump as high as they can. I want to see them smash the ball as far as they can. If they want to ruin their bodies and have a penis that's like this big, that's on them. Like, it ain't on me. If you want to ruin your body, go ahead and do it. Inject that poison into your system. That's not my choice, but hey, at least it's entertaining for our sports games, right?
Yeah, the whole point, the only reason I want to talk about this is because I just think putting rules in that aren't set rules and you leave up room for
It's just gonna
interpretation
lead to more trouble.
at least like what good can this lead to?
The
Like
catch
it is,
rule.
oh God, it's just like this is a consistent thing in sports. It's the same thing with flagrant fouls in basketball. It's just no consistency because you leave so much room open for interpretation that it just the league. You need some consistency in officiating, and this is another rule that leaves it open to kind of become inconsistent once again.
I agree. And Jake, the last thing we'll look into today is our patron question of the day. JD asks, basically, I will go ahead and read the exact thing. Yeah, the Don.
The Don.
He asked this a while ago, and I said, you know what, the next time Jake and I talk baseball, we will definitely hit it. Let's see if I can search between him and I on the app for Discord. He said hey, I don't know if you've looked at the score. This was, he sent me this on the 20th of April for the San Fran game. But maybe whenever you and Jake do the MLB show, you could ask the question, are the Giants a playoff team? Or something around that. Kind of crazy what they're doing. So we're kind of doing that question. Are the Giants for real? Right now, they are in first place. Also, I will say, if you want to be able to ask your questions that become full topics on the show, check out our Patreon page, the silver membership or the $5.99 or the $4.99 option for our members on the channel, for channel members. But they're in the top of the West right now. Yes, it's only a game. They're a game ahead of the Padres, game and a half against the Dodgers. I will ask you, Jake, are the Giants for real, or does this fall into what you say, it's June, by August they'll be out of the playoff hunt?
Yeah. I don't know if they'll be out of the playoff hunt. I think they've gotten exponential production from guys like Buster Posey and Evan Longoria, or even Brandon Belt and Brandon Crawford. I'm not sure how long they can keep this up. Mike Talkman, as much as I love him, he's great defensively. He's not hit well since he's went there. Not saying that it's a bad trade, because Wandy Peralta also hasn't been great, but they've gotten outstanding play, especially from guys like Kevin Gausman, he's been outstanding in 11 starts. Anthony Descalfani's been good. Alex Wood's been great. Two of my fantasy players, shout out. They just had production from everybody, and I love Gabe Kapler as a manager, and he got run out of Philadelphia. And as I am a Sixers fan, not a Phillies fan, it's hilarious to me because I remember them saying how much of an upgrade Joe Girardi was in their managing, and guess what? No, Gabe Kapler is still a better manager, it looks like. So I'm still skeptic to buy all in on them, especially with how many injuries the Padres and the Dodgers have both dealt with, how close they are to this team still. I would still need probably, if they're doing this at the end of July, I'd probably buy in. I'm not ready to completely buy in yet. Maybe they can be a wild card team. That's going to be very tough in the NL, obviously. Maybe this division can produce 3 playoff teams. Still yet to see. This production from all these old players and the guys turning back the clock, I'm not always sold on it continuing.
But Jake, these old Giants, they got to get their program together, because this is an odd year. The Giants don't do well. They don't make the playoffs in odd years, Jake.
That's fair.
They should get their act together. 2010 playoff run, 2012 playoff run, 2014 playoff run. 2016 made the playoffs, lost to the Cubs, by the way. Obviously haven't been to the playoffs since 2016, and I'm joking with that. But, this is a team that, I almost look at this team and I go, is it 2012? Did I step into a time machine and go back to 2012, back to 2010, when this team was winning World Series or World Series Syria?
Yeah.
Is that the plural of Syria? I never fucking understand. But basically, like you said, they're getting key performances, and I don't know if they make the playoffs. I am with you, because this is a team that is exceeding expectations. If I look back, and I meant to pull this up beforehand, and I just completely forgot. If you had to take a guess, do you remember where you had them for our predictions?
Not good. Not good, and I'll tell you that much. I probably had them 4th. Would be my assumption.
Here, let's see. Pulling it up. You had them 4th. So you had Dodgers, Padres, Diamondbacks.
Did not work.
Giants, Rockies. Where I had the Giants, same thing. Dodgers. We literally had the same West.
Yeah.
Why did we think the Diamondbacks were going to be so good?
I think most people thought the same thing. I mean, the Diamondbacks adding guys like Asdrubal Cabrera, and you hope that Bumgarner had some of a bounce back year. Third place in this division isn't saying much. We thought they were going to finish 30 games behind second place probably. So it's not that big of a difference. It's just Giants have surprised everybody. I mean, it's great to see. It's almost you don't get a lot of Cinderella stories in baseball. So if they could somehow keep this up, it'd be great for the game.
Now, if they do make the playoffs, Are they gonna be like what we're seeing with James Madison in women's softball right now, where it's I saw today that they played their first College World Series playoff game and they knocked off the Oklahoma Sooners. Do we see that from the Giants? Because let's be honest, they're a team right now. Let's look at the standings. If the playoffs were to start today, how the playoff bracket would pretty much lay out is Padres-Dodgers would be a thriller of a wild card game. Could you imagine if the Padres and Dodgers didn't win the division and they had to play each other in a wild card game?
It might be war. Oh. The streets of San Diego and the streets of LA might be a war. You've seen Dodger Stadium outside the incidents before. It might actually be a war.
Like we were talking a series against these teams. If it's a do or die playoff game in the wild card round, that might be better than a championship series between them. But right now the best, basically how it would be is the Dodgers and Padres would play each other, and then the winner of that game would play the Giants, because right now the Giants have the best record in the NL, and then the Cubs would play the Mets in a NLDS series. Like, is this just going to be a team that, let's say they hang on and somehow are the best team in the NL record-wise, is this just going to be it sucks for the Dodgers or Padres because they took away one of your spots so that we couldn't see a series between those teams, but basically whoever wins that game is going to beat the Giants in a best of 5?
I don't know. Once you get to the playoffs, everything's different, and the Giants would have home field advantage, and everything's going to be back to 100%. I mean, most stadiums are now, so we're going to be somewhat back to normal playoff baseball. Anything can happen, and the Giants have shown that when people didn't think they could win the World Series, they have. So I would say if they can somehow hold on to the division, they have as much of a shot as anybody else to make it to the World Series.
I'll ask you this. Do we still think that the West is going to have the best record in the NL? Or could a team like the Cubs or Cardinals make a run to be the best record in the NL?
I'll stick with my prediction of the Dodgers having the best record. I don't think I'm swayed yet on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's close. They're a game and a half behind the Giants. Like, really, it's a 3-dog race between the Giants, Padres, and Dodgers right now.
3 dog races. Your dog's working. That's a good one.
Race. My mom probably has food, and my dogs, most of them, like, Buddy's not trained, so when you got food, unless it's me, because he knows I won't give him food until I'm done. He just barks like crazy. But yeah, the Giants are an interesting team. I think that
they're a team that can make a move too.
Yeah. What do they look to add?
I have no idea. That's such a good question.
They could, but what do they do? Oh, beats me, Ricky.
It depends. Like, they've had production from everywhere. If somebody slows down, do they immediately look to fill the hole and get somebody else better in there? Are they a team that looks at Ketel Marte? Are they somebody who looks at a Trevor Story as a 1-year rental? I know they have Longoria and Crawford as the left side, but do they slide somebody to second base and take out Donovan Solano? Do they think they can get somebody better than Austin Slater and put Ketel Marte in center field? There's just so many different scenarios they could pull off.
They also have a run differential of 62, plus 62. Do you know off the top of your head, Jake, who's the only other NL team to have a better run differential than them this season?
The only team that has a better run differential than them, I mean, it's probably one of the 2 teams in their division would be my assumption.
It is.
It's probably the Dodgers.
The Dodgers are plus 83.
Dodgers
are plus 83, and they're in 3rd.
It's run differential's not a good stat.
I know. The Padres are plus 27, by the way. Let's see. If we're looking at the AL, I'll ask you this. 2 teams have a better run differential than the Giants in the AL. Do you know who they are?
One's probably the White Sox.
One's probably the White Sox. They are the best in the AL with plus 79.
And
it's a division leader, I will give you that.
So they're Rays.
It's the Rays. Because the Athletics have a run differential of 1.
Go A's.
Just 1. I love run differential because it's like the A's, plus 1. The Astros, plus 58.
Yep.
It's like, hey, man, it doesn't matter how you win the game. It just matters, do you win the game at the end of the day? Jake, we're going to put our put our predictions on the line. Giants, where do they end up? Do they end up winning the division, wild card, or out of the playoffs at the end of the year?
Out of the playoffs.
Okay. Who takes their spot, Cardinals or Braves? Or no,
Not
you think the Braves are going to win the division? Cardinals or Mets or another
Mets.
NL East team?
Mets.
Do you think NL Central? Do the Cubs win the division, or is it going to be the Cards at the end?
Cardinals. Sorry.
um, I will say this:
Watch me. I'm gonna go over 3 on those. Just
Yeah.
so you know, just watch. I'll go over 3.
I'm gonna go bold. I think the Giants are a wild card team.
Yeah.
The way I think I'll play it out is Dodgers catch on a run. They win the division. Giants will play the Padres in the wild card round. I will say Mets win the division. I don't know about the Central. Cubs are playing hot right now, but they have injuries. The Cardinals are the better team. Just not to jinx myself, I guess I will go with the Cardinals. But I do think the Giants will slow down. They will not get out of the playoffs. A team like the Braves, they're going to have to win the division in my mind to get in because of what the Giants are doing. But I do think that the Giants are for real when it comes to playoff hunt. When they play that one game against the Padres in the wild card, we will see how they do. But that's going to do it for us today. Thank you guys for giving us your time as we talked baseball. Make sure to join the Discord. Link down below in the description. The Discord for MVP is truly the greatest community in the universe. If you want to support us, check out patreon.com/MVPvids. Link down below in the description. You can also become a channel member. Same rewards. So you can check those out here on our channel. Make sure to sub to the MVP Sports YouTube account as we're going to be putting up draft content for the NBA. We're coming out with live shows each and every Monday through Friday. So hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, or as some call it, the notification bell, to get notified, or as I say, notificated on videos and live streams that we have. Jake, got to thank you as always for a great show, my guy.
It was fun. I was talking baseball for the first time in a while.
I'll be honest, for me, training wheels are back on a little bit. We took the training wheels off because it's like, okay, we were talking baseball for a while, and then we took an NBA hiatus because of the basically the playoffs. But guess what? After the NBA playoffs are over, it's basically going to be the summer of Ricky and Jake, to be honest with you.
Well, as you know, it's gonna be NBA draft and
so
baseball.
It'll be NBA draft. That's mainly going to be like you, Soapy, and Dave with me sprinkled in, because we got to give all of us work. NFL, which is mainly going to be me and you with maybe a sprinkling of Dave.
I would say Dave might have to tough out an NFL show every now and then.
Sprinkling of Dave, and then baseball, which is just me and you.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Soapy hates baseball as much as he hates golf. But I know he doesn't watch baseball.
Well, yeah, because one's a sport and one's not, yeah.
Oh, you're also on that game, aren't you?
I don't know, am I?
Jesus. Well, you said it. That's why I'm
just quoting the good old Soapy.
Oh. But that's going to do it for us. Make sure to hit that like button down below and let us know what you guys think. And thank you guys for being as awesome as you are. We'll be back tomorrow talking NBA. Right?
Yes,
tomorrow is NBA. That's right. It's me and Soapy tomorrow talking NBA. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you guys for being as awesome as you are. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Bye.